You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good morning, everybody. I am so happy to be here. I hope I'm here. Can everybody hear me? I am not hearing anything. I'm not hearing me. That's what...
Turn your volume up, Cindy.
I got the volume up.
I hear you just fine.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start over. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, middle of the week. We're almost there. And tomorrow, this is Thursday's Eve, because tomorrow the show starts, the movies start, and Dunkirk is supposed to start this weekend.
Yay.
Everybody's so excited. You know, someone that's excited as we are is Sam, my husband. It's the only movie he's looked forward to see. And I never can get him to drag him to the movies. I just can't. I can never do that. So I'm really excited about it. I'm going to get to go have popcorn. I care nothing about Dunkirk. I don't like war movies. I don't like any of that stuff. But because it's Sam and he wants to go, and because of the butter popcorn, I will attend. I will go there. So I'm excited about that. But more excited than that, and you know how movies, and popcorn excites me. But more exciting than that is my guest I have today is going to be Don Wilson on the Cindy Cochran Show. If I fail to mention that, sometimes I get excited, get right into the show, and I don't say that you're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show. And if you're in Conroe and you're driving around and listening to 106.1 and wondering, where was that Spanish station that I used to listen to? Well, it's now been taken over by the Lone Star Community Radio. And we're on 106.1 and 104.5 as you leave Conroe and going north and you pass Waverly, and going that way. Then you go to 104.5 and you're picked up in Willis and in Waverly. And you'll hear it just fine. Or you can go to your app. Go to your app, get your app in gear, and listen to it on your radio, on your phone. And then, if you don't get enough of that, go to the podcast on YouTube and listen to and see the Cindy Cochran Show. You get to see behind the scenes what's going on. What is she wearing today? I'm always wearing black, so I don't know.
I think that's the same shirt from the entire week.
It is the entire week. It's only been 2 days. And
this is 3 days in a row now.
Yeah, this is the third day, and a shirt can last the third day. I just take it. I take it off.
A shirt can last 3 days?
Yeah, I just go home and take it up. I don't perspire. I don't glow because there's nothing, I'm having to do difficult. I don't walk out in the sun and try to produce sweat. I don't do any of that. So I just go home, hang it up, and then put it back on because I am taking Johnny Cash's, his angle on fashion. Anyway, so... Why do you do that to me, Jake? I had this thing going, and then you...
It's because I love you, Cindy. It's because I love you.
Where was I?
Don Wilson is our guest.
Yes, Don is our guest. That's why I'm so excited, because yesterday we had Mindy Miller, who was a girlfriend of Elvis's a few years before his death. She was dating him and had a lot of great stories. Didn't you love the stories? I mean, that's just like surreal, right?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to ask her that I didn't get a chance to was what was the, I guess, sweetest thing as a boyfriend that he ever did to her? Like, what did he surprise her with?
Well, he bought her a car.
But that's Elvis. Elvis bought everybody cars, right?
He did.
I want to know what spontaneous romantic thing did he do that shocked her the most.
She will.
So we'll have to have her back on.
She'll text me that soon because I told her you were trying to look her up and you thought you had found the real person, Ty Randolph, and he said we were trying to figure out, is that her real name or was Mindy Miller her real name?
What'd she say?
Name. She said that was a stage name that an agent thought would sound more, stronger woman, Ty Randolph, because she was doing her own stunts. And the reason she could do her own stunts in the movie she was in, is because her real father, she finds out her real father was like the top stunt man in Hollywood.
Really?
She had been adopted. And so she didn't know a lot about, her past, and found out later on that he was top stunt man. It's so weird. But exciting and different. And, the people that we talk to, we have such dull lives, I think, here in Willis, Texas. But it's beautiful. We have a beautiful
Well,
place
we're
to
actually
live.
coming to you live from Conroe, Texas.
Conroe, Texas, downtown, beautiful downtown Conroe, Texas. And Don Wilson he lived in Houston. He grew up to a ripe old age of 15, and he moved. No, he lived in Houston, but tragically lost all of his family, his mother's father's sister, in a car accident with a train, and that everybody was gone. And Elvis found out about this, and he took him under his wing and became like a mentor to him. He introduced him to everybody who was anybody in town, and so Don knows everybody and has such special memories about Elvis. And today, we're going to have a real short first segment here, and then we're going to come back. We're going to come back with Don, and I'm going to ask him questions. I feel like he's never been asked before, and we're going to see if I've come up with some very original questions about Graceland. And so I can't wait. I can't wait to find this out. But Elvis's anniversary of his death is coming up in August, and it'll be 40 years since he died.
August what?
The 16th.
16th of August.
Yeah. And everybody knows where they were. That's a great Elvis fan. I just pulled out the driveway at my grandmother's house, and they announced it, and I couldn't believe it. It was just, no, he can't be gone. He's too young. But anyway, so we're going to talk to Don Wilson, and if you've listened to the show a lot, you have heard Don Wilson's voice, and it'll be here in just a moment. You hear the music, and so that means I've got to go. You're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show, Real Reality Radio, and we'll be back with Don Wilson and talk more about Elvis and the behind the scenes. Hey, if you like listening to the show, why not be a guest on the show? Just message me on the Cindy Cochran Show Facebook page, and we will arrange your appearance in studio or interview by phone. It's going to be so fun.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Hey, this is Dick Schissler, your favorite morning radio host on Mornings with Lone Star on Lone Star Community Radio. You're watching RC TV right now, and I want to remind you I have my own show here on RC TV every Friday morning at 9 a.m. and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., highlighting all the interviews I do live on Mornings with Lone Star. So check me out, bookmark it, do whatever you need to do. Watch Mornings with Lone Star every Friday morning at 9 a.m. and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. More information can be found at irlonestar.com. And this is Dick with Mornings with Lone Star.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show. And that lady that you just heard, I went to school with her. That is so wild.
Did you teach her, or was she a classmate?
Teacher. No, we went.
She sounds so young.
And so anyway, I went to school with her, and it was so exciting to hear her voice. She started this idea, the new Danville, town, and because her son was autistic, and she didn't know what was going to happen to him after they died. He would have nobody taking care of him and all that, and she met other people that had adult children that when they left, they needed some place to put them. And so this became a dream of hers, and it happened. She got a group of doctors together. They made this happen, and it's a beautiful town as it's building. And I told her, I said, as soon as you get the movie house there, I want to come in and work it.
Well, yeah, are you going to make sure they have real butter?
And I'm going to serve spaghetti and hamburgers and everything. It's going to be great. It'll be so much fun. But anyway, so it's a great deal, the new Danville. So if you want to look it up, it's wonderful. Kathy Sanders, oh my goodness. I haven't talked to her in 50 years. Okay, so Don Wilson is hanging on.
For dear life.
White-knuckled. I'm going, Cindy, am I going to be on today, or are you going to just keep talking? Okay, no. Don, good morning, Don.
Good morning, Cindy. You keep me hanging on the rafters like a Hitchcock movie.
And I know, and I want to spend every single second that I can with you on the air. I hate to even do the opening introductions and all that stuff because I don't want to take anything away from you. So, Don, how are you doing today? Are you happy?
I am happy since I'm talking to you, Cindy. How
You know, you read the script well. That was very good. No, Don and
the
I.
check's in the mail, right?
Right. Don and I have this mutual respect and love fest that we go back and forth. Like, no, you're so good. No, you're so good. No, I really appreciate you.
If they only knew, Cindy.
That's right. If they only knew. I met Don when he was 15 years old and I was 30 something. But I was pregnant with my son. And he came to Channel 13 as a guest because he'd received the last letter that Elvis ever had written. And so they wanted to talk about his life with Elvis and how Elvis had impacted his life. And he came by and stopped and said, can I take a picture with you? And I went, like, sure. And so we stood there in front of the newsroom, and I took a picture with him. And that's the only picture I have of me pregnant with my son. So I was like, this is so cool. And he sent the picture to me and on Facebook and said, are you the same Cindy Cochran that's in this picture? And I went, yes. I was so excited. And so then we started texting, talking, Facebooking. And then I found out about this amazing, surreal world that he kind of grew up in. And all the people he knows, everybody, including Cindy Cochran. So I thought, this is a guy I want to get to know. And we had him on the show. And so it's just been a bro-sis friend. Well, see, how would you call a brother-sister romance? No, you can't say that. It's just like, this love fest.
Yeah, you get in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, Don, this is when you quickly change the subject.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that the words coming out of my mouth are being understood because I got my foot so far down in it. Okay, shut up, Cindy. All right. Anyway, Don.
Well,
so
I'll get you out of it. I mean, even Elvis thought that you were a gorgeous gal when you were expecting. How can you beat that?
He told me this. He never said this to me. We've been talking for like months and months and months, and he kind of casually is talking about the picture, and he said, Elvis was going through my pictures that I'd taken while in Houston, and he saw you and said, just go ahead and you say it because I can't say it. It's just I'm too.
I said, who's that? And I explained to him, and he said, well, she's pretty.
Yes, she's pretty. I love that. Just think, Elvis, that came out of his mouth that says she's pretty. That's so great, and that just thrilled me. But Don has been so much. It's been so much fun. It's so amazing to talk to you and all the people that you know. But knowing you is so great because you're such a kind, generous, and will just share or help anybody that you can help. And so I feel very fortunate that we're friends. And even though I've never, except I met you that one time and we've never met again. And I thought I might just pop down to Memphis August 16th and see you and Mindy because I know y'all are both going to be there. But then I just found out you may not be there. You said you may not go. Is that correct? Am I?
Well, I might go down there for at least one day, and we'll get into the reason why later. But, I saw you in person quite a few times, before I actually met you because I used to come down to Dining for Dollars,
and sit in the
almost
audience?
on a regular basis. Yeah,
Oh,
member of the audience, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Did I ever
So,
go
I
over
saw you a
and
lot.
did I ever go over and say, how are y'all doing today or anything like that? No, I probably was.
No, you didn't. But and when I was on the show, Betty Rogers interviewed me about Elvis.
Oh, she did. Okay, all right. See, that's so funny.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going like, I remember her and Paul Schmidt,
Right, and Don Nelson.
and then came.
Bob Hilton was on before that.
Right. Yeah, that's who I met. Trying to get the news on for the hearing impaired, I met him and auditioned with Paul Schmidt to play the guitar and sing on Dining for Dollars, because I thought if I could do that, I get to know these people and I can ask then, can we have news for it was weird way to get to it, but it worked. Because then I met the news director and talked to him and had a meeting with them. And I got on and started doing the news for the hearing impaired, standing next to whoever was the news person at the time. And it was, and the rest is history. So, but
and Paul Schmidt had a music store.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And he wanted to know what kind of organ that Elvis had, so then he had one like it, so I think he used to say, well, Elvis has got one like this.
He was something. And he and I had a weight losing contest. It was after I'd had Chad, my son, and I'd gained some weight during that. And so we had a weight loss contest. And that guy, when he weighed when we first went and stood on the scales and weighed, he had put all this stuff in his pocket. I mean, he put so many things in his pocket. So he weighed really heavy. And then all he was going to do was remove those items when we'd had the final part of the contest and stand there and weigh. And I worked it didn't always go away, but anyway, I worked myself slowly trying to lose that weight. And it was, and I didn't win. He won. I took my eyelashes off and everything to weigh that day. I was trying everything I could to make sure that I was going to win. And, but then I found out he cheated, so they had to give me the prize because he did cheat. But anyway, Paul Schmidt, those memories are so great, and I love that you remember all that and that you were part of that.
Oh, yeah, and Larry Connors was such a matter-of-fact guy, and I remember being in the newsroom with him and Marvin Zindler. And it wasn't that far after, the deal, which turned out to be the best little whorehouse in Texas.
Right.
It was made into a play, but it was on the actual thing. But that sheriff sure didn't look like Burt Reynolds. So that madam didn't look like Dolly.
No, not. That's so funny. Not at all. Because Larry Connors left town because of the death threats he got. Marvin loved it. He loved all of the attention and all that brought him. So he took over that investigation, and he said he was shaving. He had a big bandage on his cheek. He said he was shaving, and a car backfired, but he thought somebody was taking a shot at his house. And because of it, he said he had no idea that there was so many people involved that would do you in because of that. And the recording that he got when that sheriff grabbed his toupee and ripped it off his head, they were in the car, and the reporter, the photographer that was with him, let the camera roll, and he had this, and they came back, and everybody just fell over laughing. Marvin wasn't in the room at the time, about how his voice went up about 3 octaves as he was talking to the sheriff, saying, "Please don't take my hair, please don't hurt me, don't hurt me." So it was terrible, and they never played that on the air. That would have been people would have loved to have heard that session. But Larry Connors and all those guys, they were so great.
You should write a book, Cindy. You're always talking to me about it. You should write a book. You've got some good memories.
I swear she really should, and she could fill up about 400 pages of just pure ramblings, not just funny stories making an audience laugh, but it has no real purpose. It wouldn't
elevate anybody's life, I don't think, or their spirit.
It would be enjoyable though.
But it would. It's people that remember this stuff, and I would certainly enjoy it. But the thing about it is, like, Marvin Zindler and all those guys are going to fade into the past, but Elvis has never done that. He is someone that will go on and on. I mean, this is 40 years after his death. And he's still selling his albums. He's still, there's so much being done in his name. But I love that you and Mindy are able to tell stories and tell positive sides and things that have happened, happened in his life, and that you were there and he said those things. And then then I start finding out all the people that and you start saying, well, Johnny Cash told me one time that he said, "Oh, wait, Johnny Cash?" Yeah. And Glenn Campbell and all those people that Elvis knew, or that knew Elvis, and that he surrounded himself with a lot of celebrities, but those were not his closest friends, right? It was his...
That's right. He kept a lot of his close buddies to his best, and they were there and to protect him, as well as, just hang around and, be his buddies. And there were certain ones that were closer and some that weren't. But, he was pretty sharp.
Well, I think, I mean, you said some things. And what's funny is I don't know why we're always talking on the phone and I'm shopping at Kroger's, but it seems like the last 3 times we talked, I'm shopping at Kroger's. And I'm thinking as I'm passing people, if you only knew who I was talking to on the phone, and that we'd be talking about subject matters that people would have just died. Like, what? And when we're talking about Sam Phillips and all of that, and all the people that are going to be represented, there's a lot of people I hear that they're going to have there in August in Memphis that are going to be the, let's see, it's not ETA, it's not Elvis tribute artists, it's other tribute artists, right?
Well, they're really they used to not embrace that, Graceland, and a few years ago they started doing that. And then they've always had a tent. It's completely different now because they demolished the old shops that were across the street from Graceland, and then they, the apartment building where I used to live behind the shops at Graceland, well, now it's a big complex called Elvis Presley's Memphis. And it's by admission. That's one thing I'm a little upset about. One of the reasons I decided not to stay all week, because it's just admission to go in the shop and see these, exhibits is $28. So it's a little steep.
Wow. Good grief. So they're really maximizing their profiteering off of Elvis. Now,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say what happened is, give you, as Elvis used to say, the Reader's Digest version, Lisa sold the rights to Elvis's, 85% back in 2004 to, again, a guy named Bob Silliman. He was a billionaire investor. And then about 3 years ago, there's a guy named Jamie Salter from Authentic Brands and a guy named Joel Weinschenker, who's the chairman of the National Entertainment Collectibles Association. And now they're the ones that's really in charge of Elvis Presley Enterprises. And that's why the guest house went up, which is this humongous hotel right next to Graceland. Mm-hmm. And I think that the admission is to help pay for it. I don't know. But it's the one thing that I don't like, and I don't think Elvis would. But, people are starting to pick on it. It's not really Priscilla anymore. She's really advisory. But there's some wonderful events that they're going to have there, and some great people like Mac Davis is coming in, and Laurel Goodwin, who you spoke to, who was Girls with Elvis.
That's right.
So, but they've extended Elvis Week now. Just now it's like Elvis Week and a half.
It will be Elvis Month. It will be. But talking about Graceland, when we come back from this break, Don, what I'm going to do is ask you some questions about Graceland that I just don't know if you've ever talked about or thought about, but we're going to talk about that when we get back. So that's the tease for you guys to make sure that you come back and listen to Don Wilson, who has all of the inside scoop, who really knew Elvis Presley in a whole way that we never got to know him. So stay with us, Don. Stay with us, listeners, and we'll be right back on the Cindy Cochran Show, Real Reality Radio.
Lone Star Community Radio is ready for the summer. If you or anyone you know is looking for summer internship opportunities, Lone Star Community Radio is a great place to grab the mic and be on the air. Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world all year round. Be an on-air personality, talk show producer, or YouTube TV podcast editor. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com or call the station's message line at 936-647-3776 if you are interested.
Remember, live is better. And if you can, join me Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and interact live on the show through my Facebook page. Let's get your morning started.
Hispanic Chamber Connections with Dr. Carlos Sanchez, president of the Woodlands Conroe Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, featuring event announcements, member highlights, and more. Tuesdays at 1 p.m., broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show. We're going to get right back to Don Nelson. Oh, man.
How long have you known this individual?
Not forever.
And
But we're talking about Channel 13, so my brain is, the sparks are going back and forth like, okay, are we still talking about Channel 13? You said Don. Says, do you mean Nelson or you mean Wilson? I mean Don Wilson. Don Wilson. I'm so sorry. I mixed you up with... Okay, Don, you're still there, right?
Cindy. Yeah.
Don, when you talk, I love your voice. He's got a great voice. And doesn't he sound like Elvis? I mean, he's got that.
Well, yeah, I've never heard Elvis
accent.
talk. So
You haven't?
I haven't ever heard Elvis talk. But if I imagine what it would be like, it would be like Mr. Wilson's.
Well, you know that you could go to any YouTube, Google, and you can hear interviews with Elvis. And except that Mindy said yesterday, you can't judge Elvis by the interviews. He didn't like interviewing, and he, I guess, was told by the colonels what she thought, maybe that keep it short and sweet and don't give everything away. Do you agree with that?
He kept a lot of his opinions to his chest. Yeah, he didn't like to tell a lot of personal, things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get you some recordings of Elvis, just talking off the cuff, and maybe you can use that on the future show. I'll work on that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, everybody's shaking their head like, yes, yes. We have Austin Combs. No. McComb. I'm going to quit. I'm just going to say number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. We're just going to number you instead of me having to remember names. But Austin McComb is working here he's studying, and he's everything that Jake does. And Jake is teaching him, being a great mentor to him. And he is going to have his own show. And so he's watching and listening. And he mentioned the fact that he had gone on the Graceland tour. I've never been there. My sister, everybody else I've known have been there, but I've never been there. So he had a question for you, if you don't mind. He has a quick question for you.
Well, sure.
So one thing they always borrow from the tourists is the second floor. And the whole time I was there, I would always pass by the staircase, which they would have barricaded. And I always wondered, what is that second floor like? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, like when you go upstairs, there's... you go towards the right, and then there's Lisa's room, and then just a little further, there's the office for Elvis and his personal bedroom, and there's a couple other bedrooms and bath up there and everything. But the reason that they don't let anybody up there is because it was Elvis's personal space. I mean, that's really where he used to, stay. And in Elvis's bedroom, he had, a lot of his books, and his he had a record player up there. And Mindy could tell you a lot more about this because she spent a lot more time and she's listening, by the way. Okay. But Elvis, I did go up there one time, and Elvis did give me a tour of Graceland,
wow.
when I first went up. And so, but Elvis, kept his guitar there, and he had his personal tapes. He had, I don't know the actual name of them, but they were gigantic, tapes. I mean, he had one of the first video recorders, and he would have things like Ali's fights, and Bugs Bunny and the Roadrunner Hour, just whatever he wanted, And so that kind of impressed me. I said, one of these days I'm going to have a video collection. But but that's pretty much what it was. It was Lisa's room, and then his office, and his.
Was there like a master suite? A master suite?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lisa had a hamburger bed. It was shaped like a hamburger bed.
Really? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, like a hamburger. Yeah.
Cool. Now the person that the cook, the lady that cooked maybe his last meal, was making the banana and the peanut butter sandwiches. What was her name?
Jenkins.
Mary Jenkins.
Mary Jenkins, and there was also Pauline, and anyway, yeah, Mary was on duty at the time. Yeah, and he wasn't really hungry that last night.
He was not.
And
okay.
she thought it was odd. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And he's just been playing racquetball. It's funny.
Right.
I was hearing about these things. I thought, I was a racquetball. I was ridiculous. I taught racquetball, and I did a lot of tournaments. I love racquetball, and and I love peanut butter and banana sandwiches. So I always thought we had so much in common. But I thought that was, he played, and racquetball is, pretty strenuous. And so it just, I just thought these are things that you find out about later, and that caused him to be such a, like a normal guy to you, because growing up, we did not think of him as normal at all. I mean, I would never see him anywhere in a normal situation. And it's kind of like your school teacher. If you see them at the store, you go like, what are they doing at a store? Shopping. Teachers don't do that. You don't think about them doing normal things. So he was kind of that iconic, to me growing up. And my sister was absolutely, crazy and nuts about him. So I had so much exposure to him and read about all his life and everything that he thought about. So it was just so weird to talk to someone who's been in that, been in the house, and Elvis takes you on the tour. And so you got to see a lot of stuff, and all that impacted your life is what, fascinates me.
Well, yeah, and he kept it so cold. I mean, you got icicles on your eyebrows,
I love that. And what?
And I was in his office, and he was, playing the organ, and then I fell asleep, and he kicked me, and he said, "Am I boring you?" And I'm like, "No." But we were keeping his hours. I mean, everybody was up if Elvis was up, and I was only 16 at the time, and I hated this, And he says, thousands of people come and pay to see me sing, and you fall asleep on me for my butt, I cleaned it up a little bit.
I'm sure. And you were just introduced to all that kind of language so early in your life. Austin had asked me one thing. He said,
"Well, yeah, I didn't think he said any 4-letter words, because I only saw him in the movies."
That's right.
Like you,
That's right.
But he wouldn't say anything like that in front of a lady, But if the guys,
yeah, that was a different language. I understand that. Austin had an interesting question. Is it like when you would go back home, you come visit Elvis and then go back home and all, how did your friends in high school react to you and your relationship with Elvis Presley?
Well, I didn't go to junior high, and I didn't go to high school.
Okay.
What it was is I had a tutor, and she would come like 2 days and spend like an hour, and she would give me this tremendous amount of homework, because actually at the time I was ill.
Oh, okay.
And it was treatable, but I had a kidney disease at the time, and so I had a lot of time on my hands to where I could see Elvis, but I still had to do my homework.
Okay.
So I really didn't have too many friends around at the time.
So really, I guess Elvis's friends became your best friends and your family.
Exactly.
Well, okay. Now I want to get back to Graceland, because I want to ask you this. Has there been any paranormal activity? Has someone said that they saw Elvis, that they felt his presence, and all that? Have there been people like that since his death that have said anything to you about that?
So I think we could write a book on it.
Yeah.
But that's our next project. Yeah, I mean, I went to an Elvis seance, actually, a couple of these guys, and it was like, yeah, right, well, we're going to see what's happening.
Really?
But, yeah, no, he didn't show up. But
okay.
I tell you what, that the last time I was up there, I was with Paula Lloyd, and she's passed away, but she was married to Gary Lloyd, Elvis's cousin. And then the last tour guide said, "Oh, well, your family," talking to Paula, and so she left, and so Paula and I were alone in Graceland.
Wow.
And so, and so anyway, we were just, walking around, respecting everything, but, just looking back and thinking, and she kept hearing all these little creaks, because it's like when you're in a house and there's nobody there, you still hear it settling, and then all of a sudden Elvis's Aunt Delta, came down the stairs and said, "Hi," and she just about jumped, But anyway, Yeah, but Paula said, "Let's get out of here." She couldn't handle it, but because you felt Elvis there, especially when you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
There, and he lived there 20 years.
Right.
One of the last times I went up there, I went on a private tour, a VIP tour they call it, with Sam Thompson. That's Linda's brother, who dated him, and of course Sam was security guard, and Richard Davis, who's also passed on. And I remember that Sam just drove up, and it was like the old days when Elvis was still here.
Mm-hmm.
He parked over to the left of Graceland. And we went through, and the tour guide said, "Well, you guys should give the tour," and so we did it.
Oh.
And then well, it was just us anyway. We were telling the tour guides, what. And I remember this one little thing, and Richard said to me, he was his bodyguard and valet and movie stand-in. He's like, "John, you remember, what happened over here? There was the kitchen door, and had a curtain there. It's what they call the jungle room, but it was actually called a den when Elvis was alive. And there was a big screen TV, and I said, "Yeah, that's where we used to put the Pepsi bottles for Mary Jenkins to pick up so she could take them back." And so they were blown away. "Oh, really?" Yeah, because that was added on to the house, and so that used to be the back door.
That is so funny. They would give her all the Pepsi bottles so we know they liked Pepsi, right? They chose Pepsi over Coke.
Elvis was as Anita Wood, one of Elvis's girlfriends, said, Elvis was a Pepsi freak. Yeah, he loved Pepsi.
So his diet was probably not something that people wouldn't model themselves after, right? Was he a junk food junkie? He liked that?
Well, what it is he just ate in excess of. If he liked something,
mm-hmm.
he ate more of it than he should have. But he would fast for a week or so, and it used to work. He'd go on a Jell-O diet. He'd eat really nothing but Jell-O right before he'd go on tour. He'd stay fairly thin. He'd get off tour, eat, like crazy. But I remember that one time I was with him, and then there were these hamburgers, and they're really, he said, "Well, those are appetizers." And I'm like, wow. I mean, he put away a couple of hamburgers and a couple of shakes, and I couldn't do it. But I talked to Elvis's Uncle Vester about it, and he said, Elvis is still 19 years old, really. And,
mm-hmm.
and he said when he was growing up, he'd hide the peanut butter from me because that was his favorite. He thought I was going to take his peanut butter. But that's why he ate what he wanted, and if he liked it, he ate more of it. Or the same thing with air conditioning; he had it on all the time.
Right, right. He was an excessive guy. I understand that. We have so much in common. Once you find something you like, you just eat it to excess. I understand that. How many minutes do we have before we? Right now?
Now. I'm getting ready to put on the music.
He's getting ready to put the music on. Take me out. We got another break we got to go to. I hate taking breaks when Don Wilson. Can't we just say no? Okay. All right. All right, Don, you understand this. You've been in radio. Okay, we have to go to
sure.
We have to go to break. We'll be
Well,
right
Don,
back.
when we come back, though, I want you to think, what was Elvis's favorite food of all time? And if he had last meal sort of rights, what would he choose as his last meal?
I think I know the answer. Okay, all right. We'll be right back with Don Wilson and the behind the scenes with Elvis. Okay, guys, don't go away. You're listening to Cindy Cochran Show, Real Reality Radio. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, I'm Joey Savage.
Corey DLG.
We are Nerd Thug Radio. Catch us every Monday from 1 to 3 and check out our website, nerdthugradio.com.
We like to talk about quilting, horseback riding, and baking quiche.
Actually, we don't, but we do like talking nerdy to you.
That's right. Every Monday from 1 to 3 p.m., hashtag talking nerdy to you.
Hey, this is Cindy. Just wanted to thank you personally for listening. Remember, live is even more fun, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. And if you or someone you know would like to sponsor The Cindy Cochran Show, please message me on my Facebook page, The Cindy Cochran Show.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio, broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show. Yes, we are with Don Wilson. Don, I got to tell you, when I talked about the sightings, and did anyone report, like, I saw Elvis when I went to the Graceland tour, or I saw Elvis here. But there was a lot of Elvis sightings after his death. People didn't really want to accept the fact that he had died. And so it seemed like there was and I can just remember that, people saying, I saw him here. I know I saw him. Do you remember that? Do you remember that time?
Yeah, but they were mainly Elvis impersonators, and Joe Blow down the street, or Jane Doe, or whoever. They would just say, "Oh, he looks like Elvis," and they don't even know really what Elvis looked like at the time. So, yeah, I mean, Elvis was gone. It was just somebody that tried to look like him, and but anyway, I got to tell you one thing that I was just thinking of during your break. Is that you would love to have been with Elvis at any of the showings at the Memphian Theater, because he would, rent it all night and watch movies, and, and you could have all the buttered popcorn you would want.
Yeah. I could even sneak in my spaghetti and my hamburger and all that, right? He would have been fine with that. Yeah. I would have shared with him. But that was, Mindy was talking about that, how he would rent the theater, and that they seemed like they had a great time. That was fun. I told her, this is called name dropping. I wish we had some sound like bong. I was talking to Tom Jones, and we were, I don't know. Austin, do you know who Tom Jones is?
I do not. I don't know who Johnny Carson is either. So
Jake, do you know who Tom Jones is?
No.
What's new, pussycat? Oh, you don't know that song?
No.
No. Oh, Don, I'm surrounded by these people. Oh, I just like
youth.
These youths. I don't know about them. So anyway, but I had gone to do an interview, a press conference with him, and then they invited me to come into the Cadillac, into the limo, because I'd asked the most interesting question to him during the press conference, and he says, "Okay, I'll give you more time." So we're riding, and what I was most interested in is because I said Elvis has to rent movie theaters and restaurants when he wants to take his friends and go, because of all the turmoil that it creates. Do you have to do that? He didn't want me to ask any questions about Elvis. It was so funny. He says, yes, I do. In fact, we're going to the Red Lion tonight, and we've had to rent that out, and it's a pain. It's a pain. I want to go bowling. And I can't just go to a bowling alley. I got to rent the whole bowling alley. And so it's expensive for us to do anything. We can't just go when we want to go places. And I hate it. But it seemed like Elvis enjoyed, having everybody in there. But I bet he would want to walk in a movie theater and watch the reaction to Kissing Cousins, or, the first one he did. What was the first one he did?
Yeah, well, he did
Blue Hawaii?
No, Tender. No, that was good.
Love Me Tender.
Love Me Tender. Love Me Tender. Because I went there and all the girls screamed the whole time. And I was so upset because I couldn't hear what was going on, because I didn't understand the screaming. That I was, I got about 8, 9 years old, and I was like, what is going on here? But if he would like to come in and just sit in the back and see how people reacted to him, would he do that?
No. In fact, he didn't like to see himself up on the screen. In fact, there was this one night that I was there, and he was running the Pink Panther Strikes Again. And so, and he'd do the saute. I mean, he would do, does your dog bite? That's not my dog. He would impersonate Peter Sellers. He could do it perfectly. But Richard Davis had picked up this movie at the Film Exchange where that's where Elvis could pick out any movie he wanted to and have Richard go and pick it up and play it. Well, Richard said, don't say anything. But he said, yeah, I got one of Elvis's movies, so we're going to put it on. And so he thinks the Pink Panther is going to come on, and all of a sudden you hear clam bake, going to have a clam bake, and there's Elvis in the, and then he said, who's a fool? You know, he got this. He said, Richard, and then Richard's cracking up and everything, and he goes, yeah, I got you. He said, get that fool off the screen. That's Elvis, you know. But
That's so funny. That's funny. He's a bigger man than I am, because I would have wanted to go in. If I was in movies, I'd want to go in and just sit and listen to people if they laughed, or that they laughed in the right places, or if they got up and went and got candy and popcorn during the best scenes and that kind of stuff. Cynthia Pepper, when she was on, she was so cute, so precious, and she was in Kissing Cousins with him, and I loved getting that background and all, and how. You know, it was just, like she said, it was just very surreal to be in his presence in a sense. But then you know, he's so nice and he's so, you know, generous and makes you feel very comfortable. And that was his persona. That everybody that was around him knew him, and it wasn't just from the stage. So I'm hoping to educate these babies I got here with me to go back and listen, and not the movies. He didn't like doing the movies, it seemed like. Is that right? Am I wrong about that?
Well, yeah. I mean, he had to make it fun, you know, or you know, he and the guys had to improvise and do jokes on each other just to get through them. But he was at the beginning. But yeah, as it wore on, you know. Mm-hmm.
Because Love Me Tender. I was just saying, Love Me Tender shows so much of a side of a you know, beginnings of a good dramatic actor. King Creole had that feeling. And then he got into these...
That's his favorite.
That's his favorite? Was my favorite.
That's the only one he would really talk about.
Oh. Well, there were so many dimensions to him, and they really did let him, you know, it seemed like explore what he could do. And I thought it was great. And then then it became like a bubblegum thing where, you know, like where he did things and it was the same stuff over and over with different, you know, backgrounds, and I'm sure
after Blue Hawaii, yeah,
Blue Hawaii
became a kind of a cookie cutter.
That's right. Blue Hawaii was really good. I love that show. That was good. The music was so amazing in there. So anyway, I think that your perspective and what he has said has helped us understand the behind the scenes of Elvis, and you know, kind of backstory of things that we never would have known ever about him. And so you've been great for us and these kids. But we have so many more stories, don't we, Don?
Oh, plenty, yeah.
We could do a whole series.
Yeah. Exactly.
Y'all should get together and write a book.
Well, Don needs to write a book, and then if I could just be a segment in that would be great.
Well, I did write a book. I just have to find a publisher, you know. So I just don't want to self-publish it, you know. But
yeah,
you'll have to get some of your memories on there and your perspective too, Cindy.
That would be awesome. But if you want to know more about Don, you can go to Don Wilson's Hollywood Beat, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's right. .com.
And then he's got a great Facebook page. Is it okay if I tell him about your Facebook page?
I think you are.
Okay. Because all of his good friends and all that stuff post a lot of stuff about him, and so you can stalk him. It's great. I love Facebook for that.
Now we know what Cindy does in the evenings.
Yes, that's right. and I go over there.
Stalking.
I go over and I look and see if the green light is on in your chatting. So I can go find you. I'm like, what are you chatting about? Who are you talking to? But anyway, now we have, this is our last segment. We're
getting ready to go off the air for.
No, this is it.
This is it.
No,
we're done.
No,
we're done. I've got to send you off in 30 seconds.
I refuse. I see these people over in Conroe Coffee are getting ready to come over here. Okay.
Yeah, they're waiting for you to kick you off.
Shut up, Don. You know I love you, Don. I'm so happy that you were here with me for this 1 hour at least.
Well, I love you too, darling. Anytime.
I love that. See, it's just like, I love you too, darling. I love that. So cute. Okay, Don, well, we'll talk again, text again, and thank you so much for your insight. We love it. Okay. Well, talk to you soon.
Always love to talk to you.
Okay, babe.
All right.
Bye-bye. I called him babe. That was Hollywood, wasn't it? That was Hollywood. Okay, you're listening to the Cindy Cochran Show, and I'll be here next week. Monday through Wednesday is live, and then Thursday and Friday, best of. And I bet you're going to hear Mindy Miller and Don Wilson again this Thursday and Friday, so look and see the schedule. All right, we'll talk to you later. Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much, Austin, for being here. And this is Cindy Cochran Show, Real Reality Radio.
Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show was recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, and Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.